I was on my porch watching fog disappear into trees, and I realized something that's going to sound dark, but stay with me. I'm 80 years old, and I'm the last one left. Everyone I loved is gone. My parents, my siblings, my wife, my closest friends, all of them, dead. And you know what? That taught me something nobody wants to hear until it's too late. When everything gets stripped away, and I mean everything, what's left isn't nothing. It's the only thing that was ever real. And if you don't figure this out before you're 80, you're going to waste decades chasing ghosts. I'm going to tell you what remains, but I'm warning you, this isn't motivational. This is just true. Let me start with the hardest truth. You don't own anything, not really. Not your house, not your career, not even the people you love. In my 40s and 50s, I thought I was building something permanent. I had the career, the house, the reputation. I protected those things like they were mine forever. At 80, my hands are empty, and that's fine. The house I raised my kids in, sold to strangers who painted over everything I built. My professional legacy, forgotten by people who weren't even born when I retired. The awards on my shelf, they're just dust collectors now. Nobody cares. So what remains? The character you built while trying to win. That's it, not the trophy, the person you became in the process. Here's the part that hurts. The people you love, they're on loan. Your spouse, your kids, your friends, you don't own them. You're just borrowing their time. And when you finally understand that, when you stop trying to keep people and just experience them, grief changes. It stops feeling like robbery. It starts feeling like gratitude for the loan. What remains is the love you gave, because that's the only thing that doesn't rot or get sold at an estate sale. When you're young, you live for the big moments, the wedding, the promotion, the vacation. You spend your whole life staring at the horizon, waiting for something spectacular. But life isn't made of mountain peaks. It's made of the walk between them. If I could go back, I wouldn't chase more success. I'd chase more noticing. I'd linger over coffee. I'd listen to birds longer. I'd pay attention to the small things I dismissed as nothing. Because those small, beautiful nothings, they turned out to be everything. At 80, what remains isn't the big wins. It's Tuesday mornings, ordinary conversations, the way sunlight hit the kitchen table, the laugh your wife had when nobody else was around. Those moments don't feel significant when they're happening, but they're the only things that survive. One of the hardest parts of everyone leaving is the silence. I was raised in a generation that stayed busy. Noise was virtue. Stillness was weakness. But when the kids moved out and the friends died, I was left alone with someone I barely knew, myself. Most people spend their entire lives running from themselves. They use work, relationships, distractions, anything to drown out their own thoughts. But at 80, you can't run anymore. Your knees won't let you. So you sit. And in that sitting, you either fall apart or you find something you didn't know was there. What remains is your internal fortress. If you haven't built a relationship with yourself, old age will terrify you. But if you have, it becomes a sanctuary. I've learned I'm enough. I've forgiven the man I was at 25, at 50, at 70. What remains is quiet peace with the person in the mirror. You realize you were your own best friend all along. You just didn't know it yet. People ask if I have regrets. Of course I do. Only fools and liars say they don't. But at 80, there's a difference between regret and remorse. I regret risks I didn't take, words I kept bottled up because of pride, trips I postponed until later. Those sting, but they're survivable. What's not survivable? What keeps me awake at 3 in the morning? The times I wasn't kind. We spend so much energy being right, arguing, protecting our egos, holding grudges, winning pointless battles. But as I watch names in my address book get crossed out one by one, I've realized something brutal. Being right is the loneliest victory in the world. What remains is the realization that kindness was always the right answer, every single time, regardless of the argument. If you have someone to call today, call them, not to settle a score, just to say, "I'm glad you exist," because one day they won't, and the score won't matter at all. There's a strange grace in watching the world move on without you. I see teenagers with their phones, their new slang, their frantic energy. At first it made me bitter. I felt abandoned, left behind, irrelevant. But then I realized it's supposed to happen this way. What remains is the role of witness. I'm here to watch the cycle continue. I see my grandson's eyes, and I see my father staring back at me. I see that I'm just one stitch in a very long tapestry. My job now isn't to lead the parade, it's to cheer from the sidelines. There's immense freedom in letting go of the need to be important, in realizing your significance was never about being remembered. It was about being present. What remains is joy in watching life renew itself, knowing that part of my story is woven into theirs, that I mattered not because I was exceptional, but because I was here. So what remains when everyone has left? Gratitude. Fierce, heartbreaking gratitude for the sheer impossibility of it all. That I got to be here. That I got to love even though I lost. That I got to see 29,200 sunrises. I'm 80 years old, and I'm not afraid of the dark anymore, because I've realized the light never really goes away. It just moves to the next room, and eventually I'll follow it there. If you're listening to this, don't wait until you're 80 to find what remains. Look for it now. It's in the breath you just took. It's in the person sitting across from you. It's in the quiet of your own heart. Thank you for sitting with me on this porch. If this meant something to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And drop a comment. Tell me one thing you've learned to cherish as you've gotten older. I read every single one. It makes the house feel a little less quiet.